don't make it.
Patriarchy, where women are victims or, you know, lacking power in so many different things. Be conscious, and just so we're clear, disabled people are conscious. They're aware.
Okay. So the best argument that it is a life is the fact that you have to kill it. You have to have a...
If you want to have a child, first of all, there's a big gap in your resume, so getting a job after that might be super difficult. And then secondly, even in the process, typically is on the mother, the workplace and our system of our economy is not tailored to make that easy for them.
I actually totally agree with you, and this gets into this. I don't know. Actually, I'm agreeing with you that this pressure that you're describing exists for women, and I'm saying that it exists for women because of the feminists that came before who argued for women to enter the workplace. So what you're saying is the solution didn't work, and it actually produced more problems, and now we have more problems, and we need more governance to be able to tackle these problems. So you're
any
like,
system that's forcing women to make certain decisions, I just wouldn't call that feminism
women
to begin with.
It's not
women
forcing
should have the option.
Do. Let me know, girl, what you want to do. Give me something, I'll give it to you. Huh? Yeah.
Employees should be forced to pay them maternity leave.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so
that's like saying taxes are forced. There's certain things the government does to regulate our economy to ensure equality and justice and better outcomes.
Okay,
yeah.
but just so you know, when you do that, like to a small business owner, what you are arguing for is supporting big corporations and taking out the little guys, because
I'm arguing for supporting people that want to be mothers and also
why are you trying to take out the little guys?
But you guys can't just keep this. You can't say that we can't have the economic. We can't get down to the economics of what it actually implies, right?
I have an economics degree, and I can tell you if there's a small business that can't afford to pay maternity leave, the government will probably subsidize them and help cover the costs.
Where is the government getting money from? This is
tax revenue. I mean,
right, exactly. So from us, just to be clear, from us, and this is the thing that gets me about all of these debates.
Yeah.
The magic solution that everybody has that we just need to tax the government more.
Every other developed country has paid maternity leave.
But it's not magic, as in like the money is coming. The money is coming from you. It's coming from us. So you're sitting here saying,
how taxes work.
Yes, we should be raising taxes.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is the entire problem, is that the government is already taxing homes times two, and people are already struggling with what's being taken out of their taxes.
We're not taxing capital gains properly or corporate profits properly.
Sure, you have something that there's a reason that we should be taxing more here, there.
It's an
the point is that
problem.
The reason why families are having...
You bring in more revenue to help women be mothers?
What I'm saying is that you are just creating a cyclical argument. You're basically saying that women want to be able to have it all. Women cannot have it all because the government...
The choice to do what they'd like.
Okay, but you're saying women should have the choice to have it all, okay? So you're
saying... That's a really interesting way of putting, like, do you have it all right now where you're working and you're also a mother? Is that having it all?
No. I don't think anyone has it all.
It is impossible. And that's one of the...
Whatever that is what I would want other women to have as well, which is the flexibility to work a job and also raise kids if they...
Yo, Shaq. What do you
think about Candice Owens, chat? Chat, how you guys today? I'm gonna make this. Yeah, we riding dirty. Because we're riding dirty.
Like.
No, but that's exactly. You guys keep arguing that what people want is more flexibility. So you're acknowledging that right now, with feminism on fire, we are agreeing women are going into the workforce. Like I'm just kind of using a hyperbolic expression. Feminism is everywhere. We are arguing that women need to have more opportunities. Women need to have more rights. They've taken that. Now you have the majority of people that are graduating with college degrees are in fact women. Men are committing suicide at a higher rate than women. We're looking around the world.
Feminism also would push for increased awareness of mental health. So
that's fine. Great. You love feminism. That's great. We already know that. We get it.
Most Americans agree with me, by the way. Women should have paid maternity leave. If you go issue by issue and by values, they might not associate with the term feminism because people like you have made it toxic, but the actual
Yo. What happened?
Were you gonna come for HB or what's up?
Yeah, man, I'm just trying to drive home right now.
Okay, call us when you're home.
Alright. Bet.
And then when they begin taxing so that we can account for paid maternity leave for 3 months, which basically means a small business owner has to not have an employee while having to pay months and months and months. The person's not there. They're not actually.
Small business doesn't have the revenue to cover paid maternity leave. The government would probably subsidize them to make up the cost.
No, I actually think that the way things were made more sense, where we had an environment.
Well, what do you guys believe? I mean, that's a very controversial topic right there.
Do you remember the pass that I threw against you?
Wait a minute now.
That was against the Giants?
Did Landon pick it off? Did
Oh yeah, well I think I more so just threw it right to him than he
threw
picked
it right
it
to
off.
him. Yeah.
It was the most impressive 80-yard torpedo of an interception.
Coach Reed knows not to put.
Where you could afford to take care of children with just one person bringing in income in the house.
Is that possible in the current environment?
You can obviously...
When things are going to get way more expensive with these tariffs as well? Like, it's not going to be easy to afford anything in the coming years.
Is it going to happen overnight? No, but I think we need to be realistic about the fact that the first thing didn't work, right? The entire argument, the first thing was women entering the workforce is going to make everybody happier and richer. That was the
idea is that women having the choice to enter the workforce is better than them being forced to not do that.
Okay.
That's the argument.
Okay, that actually is not the argument at all. The argument was that women would become, and I'm talking about what the feminists got ahead of, and this is why women
like this imaginary
like
Twitter
men.
feminist, but like right now you're talking to me, and that's not the argument.
I'm not actually debating an imaginary Twitter feminist. I'm speaking to you, and I have no idea why you're becoming increasingly more rude when I'm just rebutting your points that you're bringing
you're not responding to my point.
I am responding to your point. I'm saying that you're creating a cyclical argument where you keep saying that the thing that you just did, that you said was going to be enough. What we actually need is for women to just enter the workforce. Oh, women are in the workforce, and actually
not enough. I'm saying we don't have enough because we don't have paid maternity.
And I'm telling you that you're also not going to have enough because you're going to then be complaining when you get that paid maternity leave because you're okay. Well, they are arguing for family paid leave, so
that's even better. Yeah.
Okay, so you might get.
Do you think fathers should also be around to help raise children?
I think who's going to work if everybody goes home every time a child is born?
Not everyone's going to have a kid.
Guys, pause. All right.
Everyone will have a male partner. Nice talking to you as well. My final claim is that feminism has made things easier for men.
Hi.
Hi. Hi,
I'm Jenny.
Candice.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
You said that feminism is easier for men, or is...
It's made things, I think, easier in society for men, yeah. Now men don't have to commit, and they're being offered sex from women for free, so they have to actually effectively do less and be motivated less, because feminism has kind of insisted on this culture of sex and hooking up, and I think that has been a net negative for women.
On good faith, I just want to say, I think you're approaching this with like the best interest for women. Like, you think that is negative for women and harmful, and I think in some aspects we can agree to that. I do think that there are some aspects of sex work or OnlyFans or whatnot that maybe men are definitely the huge consumers of, but if we are so concerned with women putting that out for free, it's charged, right? They're making money off of it. Then why are we not putting the onus more on men for being the one that is in control of that demand, right? So we can take away the supply or, condemn it all we want. But if there's no onus on men to be the consumers of said products, then wouldn't you think that would solve the issue that you're bringing up?
Yeah, I actually agree with you on that. And I really get to that. I want to be very clear. When I say that I'm anti-feminist, this does not mean that I do not also criticize men. I think that's something that people get very wrong. Okay. 1000% agree. I believe the problem was seeded by the feminist movement. I think the sex revolution and telling women, literally these people were protesting, they didn't have their shirts on, and this used to be just, your grandparents couldn't even imagine this, like women walking down the street and having their boobs out and their butts out on Instagram. And it created an environment where men then had to work harder for a woman's affection, for a woman to take her clothes off, sex education in the classroom. There's this huge myth that people were just doing it, like, we might as well teach them because the children are just doing it. Actually, before they introduced sex education, the majority of high school graduates were graduating with their virginity intact, and then within 10 years of sex education, we saw a reversal. So I'm saying feminists...
Chad, do you believe that? That sounds pretty That sounds pretty, maybe correct, man. Chad, do you believe that? Chad, what do you guys think?
Feminism actually seeded the problem, and now the problem is bad, and it's also bad for men. It's harmful for men to be constantly exposed to pornography and soft pornography, and I think it actually, in many ways, emasculates men.
Okay.
But I would say they are the main social benefactors of that culture because, well, first and foremost, as we're talking about women who have to kind of pick one or the other or try to manage both, and can we have it all? Like, no, you can't have it all. On a day where I really feel like I gave a little bit more to my career, I ache because I go, okay, but like now I feel like I didn't give the same amount to my children. And it's a constant push and pull, and it never feels enough. It really doesn't feel enough.
So like to a degree, I think that feminism does benefit men. I think that it allows men to be more emotionally intelligent, allows them to understand what that looks like, and also be able to connect with other people, right? But at the same time, there's so much work that feminism has done for women that to say that it benefits men more, I don't think is an accurate statement. For example, Title IX has made it very possible for women to go to college, 600% more so, right? And I think that is a...
Okay. Speak your point, bruh.
Is an accurate statement. For example, Title IX has made it very possible for women to go to college, 600% more so, right? And I think that is a...
Okay, it's great. No, I don't need that.
Huge benefit that we can credit to the feminist movement. Though I understand your point, though, of trying to say that like sex work is harmful for women and more beneficial for men because they're benefiting from it the most. But at the same time, if you think they're also suffering from it, does that not contradict your point?
Yeah, so I disagree on the fact that, and we do agree that more women are going to college, more women than men are graduating with college degrees. And despite that, people are saying that we still live under a patriarchy. Women are free to start their own companies. Women are free to pay women whatever they want to pay. Women could hire, and in some cases do hire all women. And so I don't really understand, which wasn't your argument to be fair, the idea that even with all of that freedom, women are still not able to achieve what men are able to achieve. I think college education actually has increased women's stress. And I'm talking about in terms of how expensive it is. And I know you're going to then say, well, the solution to that is we have to then move the goalpost. And I'm guessing here.
No,
but like college should be free. Everything should be free. He thinks. Well, I think we just need more free stuff, and obviously nothing's free. We're just going to tax us.
If I could interject, I just want to say, I think the issue that we keep coming back to is that you believe that women would be happiest in the home where they don't have to work, and I think most people in general probably wouldn't want to work anyways. But I think the main issue that we keep avoiding is that this is not an issue created by feminism. This is an issue created by capitalism.
Yeah, so I've heard this argument that it's an issue created by capitalism.
But you don't agree? You think feminism is the greater issue than the system? I think that
now the issue...
more money to live?
Well, we have to spend more money to live, right? I think in large part because feminists got duped by the government. And I think we just keep further enslaving ourselves to the government. I'm not a person who believes in big government. And yet you find that feminists are constantly like, well, we can deal with the college issue. We just need more government. We can deal with the, needing to have more benefits. We just need more government. So it's like, okay, let's just tax every household 100%. And I'm trying to prevent that. And I'm saying that there was a time in America, and what's aspirational for me is I was, raised in part by my grandparents. They were very happy. They were just, I lived in that environment of what that looked like. And I think for many of people who didn't grow up there, feminism has taught us, and I say this as someone who had to take feminism 101 courses when I was in college, that it was like this nightmare, and people weren't happy, and people were suffering, and women were
suffering.
People, were being forced, and that there weren't actually these things that marriages that worked, that the women actually weren't disempowered by being the CEOs of their household.
Well, allowing women to have more choice and freedom and agency to leave.
Sorry, you've been voted out by the majority.
I did enjoy this conversation. I'm very respectful.
I was thinking that a lot of your claims are very contradictory, saying that we live in a matriarchy, that men benefit from feminism more. I would like to understand why, again, you think that men benefit from feminism more?
Basically, because men don't have to commit to women. Men are still able to do what they're doing, and they are allowed to basically step away from all of the responsibilities of what it really meant to be a man and lead a household. And that's in large part, I think, due to the sexual revolution.
I mean, is it really bad that we don't have to give men the chase? Don't they have gratification from chasing us? Like, it's a hunter versus prey situation to me. So I feel like a lot of relationships, especially back then, were based on trying to get to home run, like, very fast. And now that we have the freedom to not commit and not tie ourselves to one man for the rest of our life, I just don't necessarily think that's bad. I just don't think the revolution has decreased our value. We're not chewed gum. We're people who value connection, and sex doesn't always have to have this deep meaning. It is just connection and intimacy between two people who trust each other. And why do we have to deny women that gratification? Like, men, you say, are wired to want that. Why not women? Why?
Look at the motorcycles.
Well,
they're gone.
Again, I go back to just our basic biological differences. There was a really interesting book that was done by a biophysicist. He, I think, recently passed away, named Edward O. Wilson, where he just sort of breaks down the biological arguments. Basically, he looks in the wild to see the behavior of animals. His thesis is just that you basically can never beat your own biology. And then he kind of compares it to what we see here as just humans and our social interactions, and things that have been abundantly clear when you look at every civilization over time, whether it's from, 400 BC to LA today. What are these habits that you can see that never go away?
Right.
And people coming together and starting families is one of these things, because we are biologically wired to find a family, to settle down, and to have children. And I think when you have women that are going out and they're giving all of the goods up for free.
The goods?
The goods. I'm not going to say, the goods up for free.
Yeah. Yeah, they're good.
Men are not
want the goods for free from men, and that we are very happy with those.
You can certainly do that, and there's
connections. We're not sockeye salmon. We're not made to breed and have families and then die.
You are welcome to do that. I'm just saying that when it comes time for you to find a partner, you may find yourself in a circumstance where men don't value you as high, because men like you spoke to, men like to compete. They like to feel like they've won something.
I'd like to deprive men of that, because they don't need to have that. Sure. That's actually
But you did bring up.
Yeah, and that's what you say, that men are, essentially predatory, and we have the goods that we have to keep from them.
Oh, I didn't mean the goods in a bad way.
But that's such an objectifying way. The goods, the grocery goods.
Honestly, I think that's just kind of in
have value
colloquial songs today.
School.
I think
we have value apart from how many people we sleep with. How many you also devalue education for women, and I think that's very interesting, because you're also a very educated woman, and in a lot of ways, this is just like an observation. You devalue yourself a lot.
I definitely do not feel like I'm devaluing myself.
Make him a sandwich?
Yeah. Yes. Which is the title of my book.
Yes, feed your men and everything. Feed the people that you love, because family isn't defined just by your partner or your kids. Family is community, and you should care about your community. And understanding that I just don't think you really care about the community that much when you're pushing this rhetoric of devaluing women so much to stay in the kitchen, stay within the homes, and also saying that they're wasting money on college when education is very important. There's a lot of female scientists.
There's you've been voted out. You've been
voted out. There's so much she wanna say, chat.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
What's your name?
I'm Zola Stone.
Very nice to meet you, Zola. You have very pretty eyes.
Thank you. So you keep talking about OnlyFans and Kim Kardashian and well, I do OnlyFans.
Okay.
And I'm a stripper as well.
So you're in the sex industry.
Well, I'm mainly a recording artist, but I do that to fund the music.
Okay.
But, you know, you're saying basically that we kind of like devalue ourselves, but at the same time, I'm celibate. I still consider myself a woman of God. And so, you know, not all of us are just out there just, oh, hey, showing the goods, you know, like we do respect our body.
I'm lost. I'm lost. I'm genuinely lost.
So I don't
she
like
said she's on OS.
Kind of putting us all in one box.
And she doesn't show her.
So we have to, in order to have debates, we have to make
stripper.
generalizations. Of course, there can be some exceptions to the rule. But what I'm trying to understand is how can you say that you're not, you know, giving up your body if you are a stripper?
Well, because I said I'm celibate. I still want to get married. What does that have to do with anything?
You're still showing your body.
For some of us, it's hard for us to have kids. And I've also dealt with sexual abuse since a child. You know, so
it's hard to have kids.
I wasn't doing any sexual work as a child, you know, and still went through things like that.
Yeah. So I first want to say, perfectly sympathetic to everything you're saying, especially if you come from an environment where you've lived through something when you're a kid. It makes it infinitely harder, and it's actually a reason why so many people turn to sex work, because they don't have that structure at home that gives them, I think, other options.
Started a fire.
Would you agree with me that if you could, like, that wouldn't have...
I went to college for music production.
For music production.
I went to LA recording school.
Okay, so did you decide to be a stripper because of economic restraint or because of freedom?
Somebody started a fire.
Freedom. You know, we want the choice to do whatever we want with our bodies.
Okay.
You know, I don't think it matters if you do want to dress how you want to dress. That doesn't mean, oh, you can, you know, sexually abuse or sexually harass.
Okay, do you think the men that are being brought into the strip clubs to watch you, do you think that they're walking away and going, I did that because that woman was empowered to take off her clothes? Or do you think that they're actually devaluing women?
No, I get it. I used to be that hypocrite, you know. I said things that I said I would never do anything like that, you know? Like, I totally get that. But some people just want to go to the club and have a good time.
Yeah, I think most of the people who are making those decisions are doing it because they're dealing with addictions themselves. I think you're worth more than taking your clothes off. I think that if you wanted to have a career in music, you wouldn't have to take your clothes off to do that. And I think that it's sad that you've been...
Every story is different.
Every story is different, but I do think that, you know, we can make a generalization.
I was at that point where I was going to college. I was working 3 jobs. I used to be a nurse. So you just don't know the situations. You don't know how life is going to turn out. It's going to be ups and downs.
Right now making good.
But no, I didn't want to do it. But in my situation and things that I went through, it's something that it just...
But I'm actually really glad that you said, no, I didn't want to do it, and you were put in a situation where you had to do it, because I think that's really honest. And I think the problem that I find with feminism is that it's a dishonest movement.
All right, guys, pause. Been voted out by the majority.
Damn!
I'm not judging.
They voted her out quick. Nigga, you should see how quick they voted me out.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Catherine, Candice.
I think I broke the record.
A book about that we're going to biology, and that biology is what we should organize society on based on like what skills men are good at.
I can restate what I said. There is a book, and the argument that's being made is that you can't outthink your biology is the easiest way to say it. So feminism, I would say, is a movement where they're trying to outthink biology, meaning that all we have to do is this, and that, and then magically we're going to be transformed, and that desire within us to want to start a family is just going to like die, or we're going to be happier doing this thing. And I think the answer to that is no.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I would argue that our biology does not have as much of an effect on the things that we choose to do with our careers, with our life choices, as you think it does. Mm-hmm. Our closest ancestors are chimps and bonobos. Bonobos are matriarchal, chimps are patriarchal. So, and our previous societies have been egalitarian for millennia. It's not been this inherent desire for men to rule a certain way and women to rule another way. It has been egalitarian. It's been matriarchal. It's been patriarchal because there are things that go into effect, like your situation, your personality, that make you better at doing something than just your biology. I know many quiet, nerdy men that would not be good leaders, and I know many strong women, and vice versa. Like, it does not matter as your testosterone, the hormones you emit, is not going to have as much of an effect as
it does.
I think it does.
I totally think it does, and so that's why what's getting back to college.
Hormones do.
I'm assuming you support women going to college. Can you explain why there is, when they can freely choose, why there is such a difference in the majors that women choose versus the majors that men choose when they get to college?
Well, I think it's also important to note that things are changing, and there's like many initiatives to get more women into STEM, to get women into higher paying career fields. When women have been kept out of these fields for so long, it's a slow and steady race to get them there. It's not that women are not choosing them. They're slowly learning that this is okay for them to choose. There's more women in STEM, there's more lawyers, there's more women. Women are making strides to those positions, so it's not like they're sedentary and they're staying in these humanities or arts fields.
I don't think you're being honest. I think did you go to college?
I mean, I'm in college. I think I know that
women aren't, it's not because they're not pressured, it's because when quite literally they say, what are you interested in? Women flock to certain things. They just do. We as a whole do. It tends to be, and this is because we're biologically wired, and even when a child is born, when a woman, like a female a child versus a male child, the girls start speaking faster and they speak more words. Just a fact, right? For the rest of their lives. Like, my daughter started speaking, and this is not anecdotal, but I'm giving you an anecdotal example of something that is a real fact. So there's just a biological proclivity there that women like communication. And you see that followed all the way, as an example, into college. Women are drawn toward these careers that are compassionate, emotional, and communicative, which is why you'll see women flooding journalism. That's why even when you see women that are finding success, they are typically in careers that are communicative and compassionate. Women that will say, I want to do psychology, I want to do children's psychology. Right. And so even at the same time that women are saying that they're running away from their biology, so to speak, they are still exhibiting that they very much believe in these determined biological characteristics that I
think she's totally right on that.
think are something that's just never going to go away.
Right, but I would also bring up that the way that young girls are given dolls, young boys are put in sports. These things that kids learn at a very early age are very impactful in what children like and pursue in the future. It's not simply that I don't think there's a biological gene that women like fashion and men don't. That's why we do see men in fashion. That's why there's actually, at the top of all these fashion houses, a lot of men are in successful positions in fashion. The way in which you teach children to explore creativity and to play, and what we put women in patriarchal pink rooms and little girls in pink rooms and boys in blue rooms. That has an effect.
So, and I'll tell you why I disagree. And I know because I had my children back to back that there's a blur here. So I never had to separate them and say, you play with this, you play with that. They were growing up with their toys. I mean, 1 year apart, my daughter and my son. They just are interested in different things. And this is one of the, I think, lies of feminism. And when you actually have children, there may be some exceptional child, but I am telling you, my boy's first word was car. He is obsessed with trucks. He's obsessed with cars. I did not do that. I don't like having to answer his questions about cars. I don't like having to answer his questions about trucks because my biological proclivities are not designed. I'm just not feeling passionate about engineering and wanting to know how everything works. You don't recognize that. And this is, I think, one of the worst harms of feminism, because I was a feminist when I was in college, or I at least thought I agreed with the movement, because you don't have the family yet. So when they make these arguments that you're making, you think that that's real. You think, oh, well, it's just because you're not giving the child the Barbie doll, that they don't love Barbie dolls. And that's not a reality. We are just quite literally different.
There are many. I'm so sorry. Time is up.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail. The ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way, offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I am going to choose Jenny to have a further conversation with because I thought that it was a respectful dialogue, and I want people to be able to learn from the differences. And I think she is probably the best equipped person to get that done.
Thank you. My claim is that I believe feminism is wrongly interpreted as anti-men when it benefits both men and women.
It's a great claim. I like that claim.
Thank you.
Okay. So I think that in today's environment, when you look at the messaging that's coming out from self-proclaimed feminists, it's very much an F men can't do anything, women can do bad all by themselves sort of colloquial messaging, which I think is harmful to men and to women. I have seen examples of people that I truly do think are more old school who don't do that. But I think in 2025 we've landed on the side of this. It is I think rising to a level of just being anti-men, which is not what I think it was supposed to be aspirationally.
Okay. In response to that, I would just like to say I think that in all ideologies and beliefs there is a spectrum, right? And on either side there's going to be a radical point of view. I do understand how it may come across as negative when women say things like, I hate all men, or F men this, F men that. But I'm also, as a woman, not going to fault other women for having that perspective and fear, because unfortunately our greatest predator is men. Our greatest harm does come from men. And therefore, when women have experienced violence from men, when women have experienced oppression from men, I'm not going to fault them for feeling that way or expressing such. And I think the onus does rely more on men for acknowledging that these issues do exist. It is harming women. And unfortunately, a lot of men don't listen to women, and they actually would rather listen to other men. While that may seem like negative messaging, if we can get past the idea of, oh, this feels like it's attacking my character, like I feel like feminism is attacking me as a man, then I think that we can have a much more productive discussion and move forward in making sure that this society is better for everybody. And I do believe that feminism benefits men as well. And I think that also misunderstood and misinterpreted in that when we hear that, instantly we turn off, we don't want to listen, right? But when we look at historically what feminism does, it's actually trying to bring women at an equal level to men, give them the same opportunities and options as men, and also not receive the same judgment that men do for the same actions.
This girl actually makes
I believe that when men are exposed to more female role models, when men are exposed to more feminine, more feminist leaning women, they actually have higher quality of life. They have deeper conversations that they can have with their loved ones. All the men that I know in my life are feminists, and it is because they are feminists that we all have a beautiful community and beautiful friendships.
Yeah, so I would actually even expand it to say that not only is feminism hostile to men, but it's also very hostile to women. And I think you saw a lot of example of that today, where there seems to be a reaction when a woman says children are beautiful. It's like, oh my God, how dare you say that, like having a child? And it's like, why is there this instant reaction to people that are traditional? And you see that when we have a society which is really kind of being dominated by what I would call like this hyper sexual character, like of the Kim Kardashian prototype of feminism, weighed against the other extreme, which would be like the Lena Dunham types who are coming out. Lena Dunham's much more the F men forever. Kim Kardashian is kind of the, when I was saying like, come get everything for free, you know, that sort of a model. And I think both of them reject tradition in a way that there's a little bit of hatred there for women who don't want to climb the ladder and work 45 hours a week for a small paycheck and who actually aspire to marriage. They think that there's something intrinsically backwards about that. They think that there's something wrong with women who are wholesome and happy, and they instantly try to problematize that. And I'd say one of the greatest cultural examples of that today was like the feminist attack on Ballerina Farm, which just kind of came out of nowhere. It was so weird. Like, we have an example of every feminist on the cover of everything, and it's like, but no, this woman can't have 10 million followers. She's not allowed to have 10 million followers. We have to take her down. And that to me is the greatest example of what modern feminism has become, because they pretend it's about choice, but in reality, they want every woman to enter the workforce and to pretend that they're happy in the workforce from a 9-to-5 job trying to compete with men. And I think if people are being honest, the overwhelming majority of women are doing that because of financial power, not because they're really happy. And that's why they're binge drinking on the weekends. And
okay, I disagree with that. I think that feminism just gives women options. And if you want to be a
sleep protesting, try these. Sweet dreams.
I'm the recipient of the Women in Leadership Scholarship, and I think it's great that Trinity Business School is supporting that scholarship.
Like wife, and you want to be a trad wife, that's fine. Feminism is not, in my opinion, and I think a lot of other people agree with me, feminism is not the belief that you can't do those things and we're trying to convince women that they have to work. I believe that feminism is, if you want to work, go do that. Go get that bag, you know? But if you don't and you want to be a stay-at-home wife, then there shouldn't be consequences for doing that. And I think the whole Ballerina Farm discussion is kind of highlighting some of the consequences. We see a woman who wanted to be a ballerina but gave up that passion and dream to be a mother. And I don't think that it's wrong to want both. I think that you can, I think there's value in being a mother. I think there's value in having a family, right? I work with kids all the time as a swim teacher. I love kids. But at the same time, I don't want to have to choose between kids and my career path.
She didn't choose, and that's another thing, is they just keep rejecting her answering this question 1,000 times. Of course, when you're young and before you have kids, the things that I wanted to do aspirationally has radically transformed. From now that I'm married, it suddenly everything came into focus, and really I understand that family is what it's all about. It's like you have your first kid and you change entirely. Okay. Your focus changes. And I do find exactly what you're saying is that even when she herself says, this is what I wanted, I was not forced to give up, you know, that's what I wanted when it was just me in my life. And I went to Jubliee and I did what I wanted to do. And I danced as a ballerina, and then my husband moved to support me as a ballerina, and then I got pregnant. And when you have a child, your entire world changes instantly in a moment, and it's hard to describe that to someone who doesn't have a child yet, because when I was there I didn't understand it either, so I actually would have agreed more with you. Until that moment happens, you don't get it. And so what I'm saying is that to see people constantly try to problematize her life when she's like, I have 8 kids now, it's like, not only do I love kids, I have 8 of them, and I'm cooking and I'm going to school and I'm bringing them with me to Ireland. And the attacks on the trad wife culture, it just shows you that there is fundamentally a hatred for tradition. And I think that hatred is being bred into women. And ultimately, when you find those women at 50 who have chased their careers, it has been my experience, and they don't have family, that they suffer from tremendous unhappiness if they've missed that window of opportunity to start a family.
I mean, I would like to disagree with that point that feminism is hating on the trad wife life. I think there is a misrepresentation of that life that's being fed to people. For example, people like Nara Smith and Ballerina Farm they're social media content creators. That is their job, right? So it's not that they're just a stay-at-home mom. Content creation itself, as I'm sure you're aware, is also a job, right? So they are not actually fully trad wives. They also are working. And on top of that, they are marketing this lifestyle that is not attainable by everybody. It's not feasible, and I think you agree with this too, to be spending 8 hours cooking, like, I don't know, chocolate chip cookies from scratch where you've harvested the cocoa yourself. You know what I mean? And it's not feasible in our current economic system, right? And maybe that's what people want, and that's great. And I don't think feminism is the one that's telling you.
She really has like a.
I disagree with that strongly. I think feminism is telling you that if you want to pursue that, that's great. That's for you.
I've never met a feminist that didn't find a problem with the trad wives, and that's my point. Is that it's this illusion.
Well, you're meeting one now. Because as soon
as I said something traditional, everyone rejected. I said you will get more purpose and
I think that's
joy from raising you get joy from raising a child, and everyone acted like when I said you get joy from raising a child, like I had stabbed them in the chest.
Well,
it's like, guys, shouldn't we just like understand that children are like it's a good thing
I don't think any of us here hate kids. I think the point is it's not about, oh, I've mentioned something traditional and this is the reaction that I'm getting from it. It's that it's almost like you're making an assumption that this applies to everybody.
I am making a generalization, and I am saying that if the majority of women did not invest time to start a family, women would be miserable. And I think that recognizing that when women start to, like, the biological clock is real, and women start to recognize that they spend so much time trying to climb a ladder and they maybe don't find a partner, and it's harder to find a partner now because, as I said, we have devalued ourselves by giving up sex so freely. I do see that there is an increase in those types of women who are relying on drugs to make them happy.
Absolutely nothing. Come on now. Whoa. Yeah.
In a happy home. And I think that feminism tells you that you don't until it's too late. And that's I do a lot of work trying to get women to understand.
Yeah, no, and I understand that you're trying
I'm sorry, that's time. I do apologize.
That was a good conversation.
You have people who are coming because they want to create a social media moment, and these are always, I've done so many events, the most...
That conversation at the end was probably one of the best ones I've heard from Candice and them. Yeah, Jack, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Come on now, whoa. chat, I'm gonna end early, man. I know this stream wasn't really like productive or nothing like that, but like do stuff, like you know what I mean, like yeah. Yeah, you know what I mean, chat, like no, like no, 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 no. No, 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 la, sorry. Yeah. Need a really now. I can't see shit, but I really now. Niggas talking to me, I ain't really now. Full 100 clips, I ain't bullet bow. They ain't running me like I'm Jubliee down. Like I'm Johnny Dane. Looking like a pain, I ain't do the same. Ripping out the blames, I ain't gonna hit the fan. Smoking out the vape, I ain't ripping the James. Cheating on shoes like I'm fully gray. Colere. Hit it like a dude, like I'm Booty Day. Flipping like the grooves, I ain't going away. I ain't going away. Shawty said to stay. Hit it with the blade. Man, you don't know how to play. Nigga told me I ain't Stu now. When I drop a ticket, you ain't dude now. Man, I'm cranking them. Learn Chinese. Wow. Shit. Look what I got. I ate some Chinese food today. Said rolled duck. What did that say? Wow. Shit. Wow, shit. 黄里小零星，唐熊黄里小零小零头小雷，皮小了用靠雷身体太热了，他用的没儿。Fire. Fire Jubliee. Fire Jubliee. Alright, chat. Zero flip a coin. I'm so in love. Finally found a way to make you say, oh, 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 oh. Oh my goodness. I'll be right back, chat. Tosh. Okay. birthday, you tell me you couldn't get up and go. You tell me you couldn't get up and go walk to go get the mail. That would tell me. You know.